and Israeli forces that are trying to defeat Iran, and it's going extraordinarily well. So people should not panic. As you heard from your reporter, countries learn and adjust. As your reporter pointed out, there's a pipeline in Saudi Arabia. United Arab Emirates has an alternative. So we watch the news day to day, and there's a tendency to think the worst, but the war is actually going incredibly well. And there's tremendous success. As you just pointed out, Israel just took out the head of intelligence of Iran, one of just a few top leaders. So it's an intelligence earthquake in terms of Israel's ability to penetrate into the highest levels of Iran. And I think you're seeing the beginnings of what will eventually be the fall of the Iranian regime.
I want to get to this, though. The regime's top tier has been decapitated, as we just talked about, since this war began. But there's an internet blackout, and only state-run media is available. So do the people inside Iran actually know that that's the case, that now could be their uprising? We heard there from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying, well, this is the time now to do it. We're watching. Will it happen?
Yeah, it's very challenging. You hit the nail on the head. Because the Iranian government doesn't want people to communicate with each other, they shut down the internet. It's going at 1%. However, they're trying to get Starlink networks into Iran and to knock out the Iranian GPS jammers that are trying to stop that. As soon as they get the ability of the people in Iran to communicate, I think you'll begin to see more movement towards an uprising and more efforts to destabilize and eventually, hopefully, be able to overthrow this regime. They're digging in their heels. They're desperate. They're extremely weak. They're even lashing out at their own friends in the Gulf, attacking Qatar and other nations. It shows how weak and desperate they are, even though they're resilient. But don't confuse resilience with strength. They're at their edge here, and this is why the United States and Israel needs to keep up the fight and be able to finish this. Because if we don't, they will come back seething with revenge. They'll reconstitute the nuclear program. They'll reconstitute their missile program. And they'll have ICBMs, according to our intelligence networks, that'll be able to reach the United States in a short period of time. So it's essential that the president completes the job.
Given that their leadership has fallen, but there are still people that are in line to maybe take on some of those roles, does it make this a little bit more unpredictable in how Iran retaliates?
Well, at some point, it's not sustainable for Iran to continue fighting if they're constantly losing their leadership. And the people underneath them are saying, there, but for the grace of God, go I. So they're next, on top of which there's a major campaign to tell those leaders that you'll have amnesty, step aside, be with the will of the people. 80-90% of the people of Iran hate this regime. They're oppressed. The United States is on the side of the people, as well as Israel is. And that's a wonderful thing here. Remember, this regime murdered 32,000 people in 2 days. That's an extraordinary massacre by any standards. So I think that there's a lot of progress being made. But remember, in the context of the history of warfare, the war has been going on for less than 3 weeks. That's actually an incredibly short period of time, given our ability to knock out their military forces from what is really a large, powerful military nation.
Yeah. As we heard from Phillips reporting there, he says that about 90 ships have made it through the Strait of Hormuz since the war started. Roughly 100 to 135 were going through there per day. President Trump knows that this is a crucial waterway that to get these tanker ships through, expressing, though, a lot of frustration now with key allies because they are now refusing to secure that shipping channel. Listen to this.
The NATO allies agreed with us, but they don't want to, despite the fact that we help them so much, we have thousands of soldiers in different countries all over the world, and they don't want to help us, which is amazing.
So President Trump, he's not happy with a lot of these countries right now that won't come and help in helping get some of these tanker ships through. But is this a spat, or do you think that this now has broader implications, given that President Trump, he's called out NATO countries before, saying that they won't come to the U.S. as help?
It's a great point. I mean, they did in 9/11. They invoked Article 5 of NATO, which is an attack on one country is an attack on all, and they send soldiers to help us in Afghanistan at that time. This time, they feel they didn't sign up for this. There'll be consequences for these countries. But the good news is, as President Trump said, we really don't need them. The only two countries that have a naval force that can apply any help is only England and France, and they can't really do much for us. It's more a statement of when we're in trouble and we're at war and we need help, where are our friends? That's really the bigger picture, and there'll certainly be consequences to that. But I think here we could have resolution to this war. The Straits of Hormuz is governed by one little island, Karg Island, and that's what controls the oil. And this is what funds the Iranian war effort. If you stop the oil coming out of the Strait of Hormuz, you break Iran. And by the way, this oil is going to China. So at some point, if the United States believes that a friendly power or friendly groups of people will emerge, we're not going to take out that island. But if it really looks like this regime is going to hang on, I think it would be a strategic blunder if we don't take out this island and break Iran once and for all.
Let's look at the map here and the military reality here. What is the best case scenario for when these shipping lanes might actually be safe for American tankers again?
Well, once again, as we're taking out, as even your footage showed earlier, we're taking out their missile sites along the Straits of Hormuz. Yeah. So that's doing a lot of that. That's providing a lot of damage. That's going to make it very hard for the ships to go. But the main reason why they're not going is not necessarily because Iran has military forces that could take out a tanker. It's purely the fear of what could happen. So that, and the insurance costs are going through the roof. And these tankers are extraordinarily expensive. As President Trump said, they cost a few $1 billion. Right. So that's what's holding up the bottleneck. It's mostly fear.
And one of the other points, too, before I let you go, just with the Karg Island, I mean, President Trump, there's talk of sending troops in there, but right now there's some fear and concern whether or not that's the right play if they were to take over Karg Island. So, I mean, there's probably happening a lot of discussion behind closed doors as to whether that happens. I have to leave it there. Foreign policy expert Harley Lippman, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We'll continue to watch and see what happens there. Clearly, a lot of eyes on Iran right now.
Thank you.